Hi, I'm Wilma from Freyja's daughter, and I'm the witch who will be doing your spell casting. Or if you're considering having a spell casting from me, I'm going to provide you with a little bit of information. I decided to do a video to kind of lay to give you some general information about magic, as well as some of the information and things that I will need from you in order to get started to do your spell casting. First of all, just to sort of, clarify some of the questions that I get asked on a general basis from people about spellcasting and magic, I really wanted to dive into sort of what it is. And because I think a lot of people aren't really understanding exactly what magic is or real magic is and what you can expect from it. First of all, if you are one of those lucky people who, after I do a spell casting for you, things happen right away, good for you. You're lucky, because that's not the reality. The reality is that it's going to take some time. So if you think that I'm going to cast a spell and the next day something's going to happen, that's very unusual. In fact, I think I've yet to see that happen. But normally, my expectation is that it's going to likely take a couple of months. And my general rule is if you've not seen any kind of movement or any kind of shift or any kind of change at all in about 3 months, it's possible and likely that the situation may not be enchantable. And you might want to either consider doing it again, or maybe we re-strategize to look at what might potentially be a better way to go about things. First of all, the kind of magic that I'm doing is long distance magic. So I'm relying on, and the links that I'm relying on, I should say, from you are things like your name and the names of the people involved, the dates of birth, as well as pictures. I find pictures very helpful because they provide me sort of a visual link that I also use in my ritual and in my spell casting. So I can kind of like pull from the picture to kind of get that connection and link with someone. So that is the kind of link that I am utilizing. However, this is not a super great link to use in magic. It's okay, but it's not the best link you can have. The best links you can have are ones that are physical items, so something that someone has owned or someone has worn. But given that I work online and you are likely not in the same city, let alone the same country as I am, it's really the best that I can do. And actually, for most of my clients, it's fine. It seems to have the effect and the work that that's needed, and I haven't had too much problem with that. But there's situations in which things are not going to manifest by just a long distance situation, and in that case, oftentimes, if that doesn't happen and 3 months has gone by and you found that you've seen no movement on it, it may be that the situation will not be enchantable with a long distance solution. Maybe you might need to have a solid connection and link to someone. So in that case, I oftentimes will tell people, perhaps you might want to seek out a practitioner, a witch, or a spellcaster, or someone in your local area with whom you may want to connect with in order to provide them a physical link that they can utilize. Or you might want to kind of consider a different way to strategize in terms of how to kind of make the magic work. Sometimes people have big expectations on what they want. And it's funny because I will get lists, particularly with magic spells, of like 10 things that they want to have happen, which I find amusing. Some of them I think that I can, miraculously change their ex-boyfriend's personality. But that's not going to happen. People are the way that they are. Now, love magic is very useful. It's manipulative magic. I still consider it positive magic because I think that connection and love is a very positive thing. And we can do, and certainly the magic is meant to kind of influence them to, come back to you, to have thoughts of you, to kind of maybe sweeten them in terms of their approach to you. But I can't make them be the guy who comes and brings flowers to you on every Friday if that's just really not who they are. So sometimes you have to be realistic in terms of what you're really asking for from as well. So normally, with magic, and particularly with things like love magic, it's really about kind of influencing them to kind of have a sweeter, more positive approach to you. And oftentimes, most people are looking to kind of reconnect with maybe someone that they've had a relationship in the past. And really, particularly when it's a situation like that, the big thing is just really getting spirit to influence them to kind of come back. And then to keep them may be what you need to do. And that's the work that you need to do. Remember, magic isn't a fix-all and cure-all. And there's my dog. This is Roxy. She's come to visit. So bear that in mind, that, we're not performing personality transplant here with magic. So magic, so when the spell is cast, I usually wouldn't expect you to kind of, give it at least 3 months, right, for things to happen. If you don't see anything happening in that time, like I said, it may not be an enchantable situation. And what do I mean by enchantable? Well, there are some situations that aren't enchantable. There are things that we cannot change because there are just too many ingrained things in the situation that is not going to shift or be influenced by the spirit. Sometimes it can have to do with that personality. If there's someone that you want to make love you and they absolutely hate your guts, well, that's kind of going to be difficult to do. If this is someone that you've had a relationship with in the past and you know that there's still chemistry and a connection there, well, that's a much different situation. It's far more enchantable. Think about enchantability in this way. And this was given to me by one of my magical mentors who is very wise. And he said, think of it as a boulder and magic as a stick that you are using to move that boulder. If that boulder is really, really huge and you don't have a very big stick, it's still going to be applying force to try and move that boulder, but it's likely not going to do anything because the boulder is just too huge. So really what we are really striving to do is to kind of influence and shift that person. But if there are too many things there that are coming into play, it's likely not going to make any difference or happen if that's the case. Which is why if a situation is enchantable is really, really key in your situation. So, for example, trying to influence the lottery is probably not going to be an enchantable situation. There's a lot of people who are playing the lottery, and your odds, even without magic and also with magic, are still going to be very low. There's probably hundreds of thousands of people who are casting spells to try and win that exact same lottery that you are likely trying to win as well. So I would stay away from things like that. But if you're wanting to do money magic, doing money magic to enchant for things to come in your life in other ways that don't have to do with a lottery is an entirely different situation and could be very, very enchantable. For instance, certain jobs, especially jobs in which you are relying on bringing new clients into your business or bringing in new sales and things like that, are highly enchantable situations because it really is an open road out there. It's really about spirit influencing the winds of change to see whether or not you are noticed or bringing those clients their attention to you and so forth. Very enchantable situations. However, trying to get a salary of $100,000 out of, a job at, Starbucks, not so much, because they have, rules and regulations and sort of standards of practice in place that they've had long-standing, likely since the 1970s when that company was created. So that is in a very different situation. So hopefully I'm giving you an idea of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about something that is enchantable. Now, fortunately, I offer spell consultations in which I will, take a look. I ask the tarot to kind of, sort of project or sort of give a reading, an energy reading around what it might feel, whether or not the situation may be enchantable. This is not an absolute, because remember, things can change. However, it's it sort of I found it very helpful in giving a general idea to see if it is. And I've often had times where it says no, it's not an enchantable situation, but I've also had times where it's come back and said, yeah, this will work. This is going to be good. So if you do have any questions or queries about that, you can perhaps purchase a spell consultation on my website or in my store, my Etsy shop. So finally, if you do decide to order a spell or a hex spell, again, with hex spells, remember that we are working with darker energies here to try and kind of do some change. And so people have asked me about, is there any blowback or those kinds of things from doing hex spells. I, as a witch, work with particular spirits that I utilize and work as sort of my guardians and my protections as well. So I do that. But I want to tell you that I, always reserve the right with any hex spell to kind of turn that down and refund you your money if I don't feel comfortable in doing that kind of work with someone, just because I'm very, very understanding of situations and relationships in which things have been difficult, so I'm always understanding of that, but I'm really kind of not all that keen in getting involved in things that are very just gratuitously cruel, right? There's no need for that. But I do recognize the agency of my clients who feel that they want to get some justice in a situation that has, that is very challenging. And I'm always responsive and respectful of that as it relates to hex spells. And finally, if you do order a spell, I'm going to need some information from you. So again, your name and the names of any of the people involved, if that's a partner or an ex-partner or someone that you are doing maybe a love spell with. Dates of birth are always helpful. Sometimes people don't have dates of birth. I get that. So that can be problematic. But honestly, if you're giving me their name and certainly a picture, which, especially if you give me a picture, it is really, I can read a lot of energy. I can, from the picture. So pictures are also extremely helpful as well if you can provide that. I really certainly do appreciate getting a picture, because I utilize that and I visualize particularly the person, or if it's two of you, if in the case of a love spell or a breakup spell and those kind of situations, I visualize what your intention is sort of in the context of the ritual and the spell casting, and I find that very, very helpful. So after you give me all that information, I schedule people into my planner. Currently I am booking, a week, sometimes 2 weeks away, just because, I've got clients, and of course it's a first come, first serve as people order things from me. And on that day, I will do your spell casting, and I will then, do the photos and the video, upload those links and all that kind of stuff, and send you all that information so that you can sort of have a record and also get an insight into sort of what I've done and the work that I've done for you with your spell. So I think that's everything I had to say. If you have any questions, I am, happy to kind of address any questions that you have. Again, if, your spell doesn't manifest and it's been about 3 months, if you're coming back to me a week later, asking, okay, nothing's happening, I'm going to be like, well, it's going to take some time. And the reason it takes some time is because Spirit and the spirits that I move with utilize opportunity. And sometimes it takes some time for them to find the opportunity. They're working behind the scene to kind of shift things here and there to make things happen for you and to kind of manifest what you want. So so give it a little bit of time. If 3 months comes around and nothing's happening, come back to me. We can have a discussion around, maybe if there's, maybe sort of like shifting the focus of your intention. Maybe it was too big, an intention that you set, or maybe it was a situation that wasn't enchantable, or sometimes, like I said, it may require a link for you to have. And in that case, I often recommend that people, again, go to maybe contact a spellcaster or a witch in their area if they've got something to provide them with the link, because I'm in Canada and it's limiting in terms of, and I certainly don't, accept anything from people in the mail or anything like that, because this is just the nature of the work that I do. But you can maybe contact someone in your area if you really need to have that stronger connection and link to do that. And if that's the case, I often recommend for people to do that as well. So sorry for this being so long, but there was lots to kind of get, and hopefully I've given you a little bit of context and insight. Remember, my spells aren't guaranteed. No magic is guaranteed in that sense, because I am providing a service and essentially doing this work for you instead of you having to do the work on your own. And I'm utilizing my connection with the spirits that I work with on a regular and daily basis, and the relationship that I have with them and have built up with them over the last little while, and sort of asking them to kind of act on your behalf to manifest the intentions and goals that you have for whatever spell casting you want. Remember, magic is trial and error, and when it will manifest is really something that is not, I can't really gauge. And it's something that magicians have been contemplating for centuries. So if they haven't figured it out in the last 100,000 years, please don't expect me to either. So the best we can do is sort of a divination on something, and certainly my spell consultations are an opportunity to maybe get some insight and reading into the energies around that. So thank you again. I have a website at freyasdaughter.com or wickedtarot.com, where I sell all the stuff that I sell on Etsy as well. I'm also on Etsy. So you can check me out. There's more information about me. I know things are very limited on Etsy if you're a client from Etsy here, but there's more information about me on my website if you would like to do that. And no doubt you've had to come here to the website to see this video. So have a look around while you're here. And, certainly I know you may have found me on Etsy, but you can also order all my spells and stuff here on my website as well. Okay, so take care. Don't forget to send me all your information and any pictures and stuff that you have. And happy spellcasting and good luck with your magic.